a very warm welcome, Cliff, Mr. Cliff Green for English-speaking people. I just recently met you at the NVC men's group, so the Nonviolent Communication men's group, where we share empathy, vulnerability, kind of a non-judgmental space. And I was kind of flabbergasted because you had said that you had a near-death experience as a child. And this very much interests me because I like any topic that kind of, opens up the paradigm of materialism and lets people see, what we typically push away. And so I invited you to come to the podcast, and I'm very happy that you said yes to that. And I want to know everything about you. But before we do that, can you just say, how would you introduce yourself?
Yeah. So we don't know each other so well. So, well, I would say that, yeah. Oh, it's difficult to share who. It's more interesting. What do you want to know? Maybe it's more easy for me to tell you. I'm 45 years old. I have 2 children. I'm living in a small village close to a forest, which I appreciate very much. The forest is very important to me. And through that forest, I can walk to my job. And now it has been a little bit tough, so I've taken the car. But for me, to get in contact with life, I see that nature, and there is some lakes here. Sometimes I go swim in the lakes, even during winter. It also keeps me connected. And I'm very interested in relationships and humans, and what is it really to connect. And I find community very, very interesting too. And I'm really happy that I can contact with you, and you opened the space so beautifully with this man group. And I really enjoy being part of a man group. But really, there's a lot of connections between men that I find so beautiful and sacred. So I really enjoy the way we are connecting honestly, openly, and just spontaneously. Everything is on the table. Everything is allowed. And that's why I really enjoy those spaces. I feel really at ease and safe and welcome. And to say something.
So you live in... I love that. And just hearing that you live in the forest and close to a lake, I'm like, oh my God, I want to live there too. It sounds so amazing. And doing the swimming in the summer and in the winter. That seems like a proper Swedish thing to do. Very healthy, very sauna. And I really appreciate that you share your appreciation for the men's group. It's really one of the most enriching things that I do, and it's so nice to hear how you're enjoying it, and you're speaking about kind of the sacred connection of men. And you also shared that, understanding human interaction, and I'm kind of paraphrasing you there, but that you really cherish connection and community. And I'm curious, can you say a few words about why that matters to you? What do you find important about it?
Yeah, in my life, I see that when I am in a relationship with other people, my life becomes more alive. Like, the more I am with other people, I feel like I'm living more. It's more a living experience. Relationships are so, it's so giving. Even if it's tough, it's still something that makes me grow. And I find it interesting how important relationship is for self-connection. I learn by more about myself being around other people. And so they were like, it's a living mirror with yourself in that dialogue. And I really long for connection and relationships.
Hmm. Yeah. I recognize a lot what you say, and listening to you, I remember one specific conversation. It's kind of my go-to experience about connection. So as you know, I co-host the men's group with Olivier, who we started the group together. And I will always remember that one time that I had an empathy call with him. And so for people who maybe don't know, what do you mean empathy call? So in non-violent communication world, it simply means you're sharing, listening, and expressing, and kind of this non-judgmental space that you enter into. And I remember one time I was a bit stuck in my own head, and I had a check-in with Olivier. And the experience, the way I can describe it, is that somehow I felt more in touch with reality. It just kind of, it took me out of that weird mental place, and all of a sudden I was more in reality. It's difficult to give it other words because that's really what it is. Is that also your experience when you're in real connection with somebody, that you're somehow in reality more?
Yeah. Well, I went to study. I travel almost all over the world and lived in different places, worked in different places. And what I also see is when I came back and I became a father, I was a little bit restless, and my ex-wife a little bit forced me to start study. And when I started study I like philosophy and then religion. And then I found out that I had an interest for drama, like theater. And when I start doing that, I see how existential ex- drama is when you're performing and you're going out of your comfort zone and you're connecting through play and different methods of connecting. And I see that that's even get more intense because we speak more with our body and by interacting and not just talking. Because I can feel sometimes talking can open a lot, but it's also need a special place where it can be open and safe and very giving. Yeah, you understand. So I also enjoy like doing doing talking, like drama. It's like philosophy of the body and the mind interacting.
Mm.
And so I also that is my what I educated myself through the university to become a drama teacher.
Oh, wow.
So I also worked with that, and I also see how that connects with Marshall Rosenberg's work, which I really love. It was really he who inspired me to go that path because I read a book, because I felt like I was not really happy the way I was as a father and a husband, and I really didn't know what I could do. So I started reading a parent's book, and in that parent book, very early in the start, it said they talked about Moshe Rosenberg, how he inspired that work to write that book. So I just skipped directly and started reading and watching and listening to all his talks and work. And I was like, it all makes sense to me now. Yes, I understand now that we're all needs beings. We all have the same needs. We're all connected through needs. And a funny thing was when I started philosophy, that was 2014, we had a little discussion, and I would say we are needs beings. We all manifest out of needs. Whatever we do out of needs. So, like 3 years later, when I found this book, it was really connected to my way of seeing life. Like, I understand that I'm doing this out of a need, not out of something else. And so that really helped me to, yeah, to get more. Like somebody already painted out the road for me. Like Marshall really painted out the road and the landscape and everything in between. So it really helped me. And all his books he's referring to, like Manfred Max Neef's work, his fantastic work, like Thomas Sass, uh, and other people, but those really inspired me economically and culturally, how it affects us. So I see that, yeah, just see what is it inside us that is working in between us and with us all the time. And I just see that needs are just such a beautiful way of understanding life. I wish I had a vocabulary as a child to express all my needs and to know, that is a need. Okay, now I get it why I'm doing it. So
Mm.
I really love his work deeply.
Yeah.
Respect his work very, very deeply and with great reverence and wonder.
Yeah. So you mentioned that one of the reasons you kind of started this path was you were not completely happy with how you were as a father and I think a husband. And now you've done all this work, philosophy, religious studies, and you kind of stumbled upon drama and NVC in a big way, being a drama teacher even. I'm curious, how did you change as a father? Mostly, I'm intrigued about that. If you want to share, since you did all this work, do you notice any shift or change?
Well, this has happened a lot of things that has co-affected everything. So I'm during the years since I become a father, you understand, I travel around the world a lot, and I, it was difficult for me to have a normal life here, and I was not really happy with that. I see also my energy was not used in a way. I felt like, where can I be useful? Where can I contribute? Because I spend more time away from home than home. So I would work some places and I would, after a while, say, no, it's not giving me. I would look for a new job. I would study at the same time. So I would always study and work at the same time. So I did that for 7 years. And then a lot of different other things happened. So when I started to understand NVC, it's like they usually say, you're speaking a robot language. And my ex-wife really didn't understand the NVC and was not so open to it. And I heard that from a lot of NVCers, that even their partner doesn't enjoy NVC because
Yeah.
they don't get it. It doesn't rhyme with their way of being, I guess. But for me, it was very clear that I could understand, my children and my ex-wife is reacting out of a mood. And
Mm.
I could be curious, what is that feeling all about? And I would also allow myself more feelings. It what really helped me was connecting with my anger,
Mm.
because as a child I had a lot of anger, and I noticed that that anger was connected to not a lot of dignity that I was not feeling around myself. And so I more and more allowed myself to have anger, which has in itself made me more calm and happy. And and I see that anger for me is a resource that really, if something makes me angry, it also motivates me to do something. So I can also see that anger is as like a signal for me to understand, yeah, there's something I have to really look into here to connect with something. It's telling me something really precious, really, really precious. So anger for me is very helpful, but it has been difficult because you're not allowed to be angry as a child. And I was
Yeah.
very, very angry as a child because I felt like my mother didn't understand me, didn't see me. I felt school didn't respect my dignity and honor me. And it didn't felt like we were coexisting. I felt like,
Mm.
yeah, you have to be here. It's a little bit like going to prison every day in a way. So
Yeah.
I found that really tough.
Mm.
So since I understand Marshall Rosenberg's work, and also he's very emotional person, and he's very clear with his feelings, and he can see that, yeah, I have this too, and to acknowledge and validate it without judgment, and let it just be part of the human experience and the human way of being. So I just see that it takes away the shame and the guilt of allowing these things. And that's what I also really, really appreciate from Marshall's work.
And yeah, unbelievable. Yeah. Especially when you say that since you have been kind of empathic and allowing your anger to be there as a natural energy, those are my words, but I'm just adding that you have become calmer. Actually, for me, that's a sign that something has really shifted and that you really somehow, alchemically transformed your anger with compassion, with NVC, and then all of a sudden, just naturally, you become more present. So for me, that's a very strong indicator. Not that I'm the judge, but just as a fellow human, I can see, oh yeah, that's a shift. And it's kind of cool that we don't know each other that well, because I can get to know you through having this conversation. And I really love that, what you just shared about anger, and also those currents of shame and guilt, and this experience you had as a child of not being seen in your need for dignity. Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Mm.
I want to actually, if it's okay for you, now that you mentioned your childhood, I want to see if you're open now to talk about your near-death experience, or is there something else that needs to be said before we can go there? I'm curious.
No, I think it's a good time to go there. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think it's of meaning to me and meaning to others to hear about it.
Yeah. I guess basically I just love to know what you can share. Like if what happened basically? You were, I believe, 4 years old. What happened?
Well, so my mother and my father had separated, and they never married. And my mother was pregnant with another man, and so it was my little sister was on the way. And that summer we went with my father, and he was together with a woman who was one of Sweden's most richest women, and she had her own island, and on that island she had a pool. So somehow they were somewhere, I don't know where they was, but I was there close to the water, and I saw a little insect in the water, and I wanted to save the insect.
Mm.
So I tried to grab it, but when I did that, I felt a little like a push, and suddenly I fell in the water. So I was in the water. And I couldn't swim. I was 4 years old. So I really tried to swim and tried to get up, but I panicked. And in the panic, you don't think. You just do all that you can do just to stay above water. It was very intense. It was very stressful, but so I could just feel the intensities around the mouth, because I was really like fighting for my life to get a breath, but it was just like, was just full of water, and I don't know the word now, but bubbles in my mouth. So I guess I was getting it into my lungs. So I was like suffocating from the inside. And when it was as most terrible, and I just didn't know what to do. Like I was crying for help underwater. But then I heard a voice, and the voice said to me, "Ge upp," which means give up, surrender, and let go. And it was not just that the voice was somebody yelling, it was like it came from the inside and from the outside. It was like the voice was penetrating everything at the same time. And the voice was so full of trust. And and the voice just to let go. And I was safe, you know, that's how I felt. So this full trust, this total trust that this voice gave me directly after I heard it, just as quickly like that, I was in a blue void. And this was such a lovely blue, like a day when you're out and you're watching the sky and it's really clear and it's very strong blue, but it's not like a blue, like you're watching it, I'm experiencing the blue. I'm part of the blue. And so I'm in the blue, I'm there. And next moment, I just see a light. And this light is just there. And as quickly as I notice it, it's the same transition. Boom, I'm in the light. And then it's the same. I'm not seeing the light, I'm experiencing the light. I am the light. So what happens then is that I'm really just like totally filled in this space. I'm so relaxed. I'm so centered. I don't need anything. And I understand from learning about needs, there was not a single need that was not met at that moment. Everything was met. And without even a thought of asking for anything. It's like every need is met at that sudden moment. And you are loved so unconditionally. I'm so unconditionally loved. This light, to explain it, is so beautiful that the only way to explain the color is to say beautiful.
Mhm.
It's like if you dim what you're looking, maybe there's a beautiful, like a garden behind, and the colors of all these gardens is in the background, but you can't see it. You can just see it through. You can just see like a dim. It's the dim of the colors in the light. So it's like this colorful, lovely light. It's just, and it's also, I could not see where I begin or where I end. I could not notice what's part of me and what's not part of me. But I can feel like I am my own presence. I am my own existence. I am my own experience. So my own experience is that I am because I experience. And I don't know how I got out of this place, but my my brother told me when I asked him when I was older about this, and he said, "Yeah, my father did CPR because he's a seaman, so he put me back to life, and situation was very scary." So then I came back and I was just yelling and screaming like a newborn baby. That's what my brother said, and I also remember my mother speaking on the phone with my father, probably because we had come home and probably he didn't tell her what had happened. And somehow I told her, my brother told, and I could hear her on the phone with my father. Like, what happened? How can this happen? She was really angry. And I heard my father was laughing and I heard him say, well, he's alive, isn't he? You know? So, so yeah, that's a little bit what happened at that time. That's
Yeah.
my experience and that's my memory.
Oh my God, I'm really touched by that story somehow. One question comes to me, and that is, do you still have a connection to that light today?
You know, it's more like I would turn the question around, I guess. It's like I'm always looking for that same experience while I'm living. It's like, where is it? Why I felt like has been my life journey. Where is it? Why am I never satisfied where I am? Why doesn't it give me anything? Because it's like after coming back from that, it's an emptiness. It's like I'd rather be there than be here, you know?
Mhm.
Because here you can't experience so much love and beauty, you know? It's like, it's like music that you don't hear. It's just there. It's like everything is so filled up with all the things that we enjoy here, but we put them in like systematically. Like children, they play directly as they're small. They love music and dance. They like to create. You know, all this, like the playfulness. Like it's like you're lost in play. Like it's in a flow. It's an ease. It's like joy. And at the same time, it's like a dance, but you're not dancing. It's like you're totally still, but everything is like moving.
Mhm.
So all the things that we have here to appreciate ourselves, we have there, but without a manifestation of it. It's like, there you have it just as it is, without putting it into a physical form.
Yeah.
It has all those qualities in itself. So
Yeah.
when I've been here in life, I see that I try to look for it. And that's why I love Marshall Rosenberg's work. Because I really feel that he's looking with the same eyes at people, with this empathic need for connection and the honesty behind it. Like, because he calls it this divine beloved energy. That's what he calls it. That everything we do is coming from that energy, divine beloved energy, and also that he connects it with needs. It's just, so I see, since I got his language, I also feel like, okay, I can start talking with people more in a way that is important. And I guess we want to save time during our life too, like doing what is meaningful and giving. I think for me, nonviolent communication in Marshall Rosenberg's work, I see that there's a lot of depth and a lot of wisdom and understanding. And
Yeah.
So that's how I see that those two are connecting, because he's telling the language that I knew. If I would come back and somebody would sit with me and validate my experience in a way that he said, just be there, just listen, just how do you feel, and just go into it. Not even like having a constructive thought about it, not just having an idea about it, just letting me talk about it. I would feel more like settled, I guess. And maybe I could be connected with more people who has that same experience. So now, why I've devoted a lot of my time and energy to work with this, to be part of this process of acknowledging near-death experiences. And I found it very giving for me too, because I get a lot out of it, because I meet people who has the same experience. It's like when you really know somebody, you don't have to say anything. You know what we're talking about,
Yeah.
So it's when I meet a lot of near-death experiencers, it's like, yeah, I get what you're saying. Okay, yeah, that happened. I feel that way too. So it's,
Yeah. Yeah. That's so beautiful. I really enjoy just listening to you, and so much comes up for me. Just this last thing about having this kind of the sharing, the knowing of something. I'm thinking for myself about my ayahuasca experiences, for instance, that is so deep, and it's also called the vine of the soul, and it's also kind of this death process. I don't want to compare it necessarily, but there's definitely this sense of having gone so deep together that there's this knowing, and you don't have to speak. You can just, you see in each other's eyes, you've been to the same place. And just saying that, by the way, this is a bit of a maybe strange sidestep, but I just think about it, so I'm just going to say it, which is that, have you ever heard of Stanislav Grof? I think he is from, and I'm really sorry, I don't know exactly, but he's from Czech Republic or something like that. I apologize if I got that wrong. But he had super deep experiences, and I believe he saw Shiva in his visions. And then he went to some guru, I don't know which guru, but this guru said, you saw Shiva. Just knew that. And whatever the ontological or truth status of that is, I don't know. But there's this shared knowing you can have, and even in those specific spaces. And I also do want to ask you about your work with other near-death experiencers. But before that, I just want to ask you, because you also shared that in that moment of your NDE, there was this unbelievable trust, this just kind of perfect trust. And I'm curious, I don't know what I want to ask about it, but it seems so beautiful. Can you maybe share a bit more about that trust
yeah,
that
for
you
me,
experienced?
I have used that a lot in my life. When when you're forcing things, like non-violence is non-force. When we stop forcing things through thoughts, through like worries, and through anxiety or desperation or fear. So when we just give up, we don't care what's going to happen. We just say, I say it a lot to myself in many situations because I'm here to learn and to experience this life. And a lot of times I'm lost. I don't know what to do. And then I tell myself, yeah, up, let go, give up. And it has a power. The power of letting go and giving up. It was tremendous because things just then work out. But
Hmm.
I also noticed that you have to come to a point in yourself when you feel like it's the point of no return. Then spontaneously, I hear myself saying, well, you have to give up. Then I recognize that, okay, yeah, why didn't I even think about that before? But sometimes you have to be in things long enough to feel like I have to let go. It's not helping, it's not serving me. And so that voice, and must say it was a male voice, and that really helps me a lot when I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what to do. And I'm just telling myself, let go. And so maybe that's a little bit part of the answer, I guess, too.
Hmm. Yeah. So what I hear is that there's kind of give up is one part of it, and surrender and trust is kind of two sides of a coin or something. And the image that comes to me, I don't know what it's in English, anyway, but the circus people that go on a swing and then they jump, right? And then this other person catches them, like, I don't know, 20 meters in the air. And there's also this kind of letting go and trust and surrender. And then somebody catches you. Yeah, that sounds really beautiful. And I can also, by the way, because I don't want to leave that unnamed, what you said also, I can imagine that there's this emptiness of having gone to such a beautiful place. And it's actually the same as what is said after an ayahuasca ceremony, or what Yoram or other teachers can say after an NVC weekend or a retreat. That you've been really connected now.
Mm.
Just be aware that you will probably experience some emptiness or some void, because that is not always there in our current world of judgment and separation. Yeah.
Yeah, and what I will react to that is like I also felt that because went to an IIT this summer, and I
Can
felt
you explain to the people what that is who don't know,
it's
maybe?
intensive training, international intensive training with trainers, instructors who knows NVC on a level that they can support other people, and then it's around I don't I don't know the size, minimum size, but we were around 70 people, I guess. And we all shared this community. And after that week, I said, I don't know if it was an international intensive course. I would say it was an international intensive community setting, because it was so much community and the support we learned to see our needs and letting things be validated for what it was. And when I felt home, it's like, oh my God, these people are not around me to support me now. And for me, there was also a touch of that feeling that I have of not being in the light anymore. It's like you get so much beauty and connection that it's difficult to just go back to the routine without, mourning the celebrations, giving the time to mourn it and see and to start to integrate it into my life. Like and what happened also is I was part of a lot of NVC groups and chats, and suddenly it didn't give me anything. Suddenly I could not do that. It felt so shallow or distant or not really as connected. So when I connected to you and this male, this need for connection among men to be strong so we can support this society we have built and be there and be solid and be safe and be full of trust for women and children. I think I see is very, very a meaningful part of the healing and the growth of where we're going as humans. And can't force it, but just by doing this, I just feel like I get, I get something and I can give something. And
Mm.
it's, I'm really grateful for it.
Yeah.
So something like that will maybe summarize what I want to say.
Mm. Yeah. I again, I feel inspired by what you say, and the inspiration that comes to me is just a wondering of, oh, I wonder if there's almost a mechanism that the emptiness you experience is now motivating you to seek it and to bring it into the world. So, and that's a theory, or I can't ever verify that, but it just almost seems like the emptiness is not necessarily bad if it helps us create something of connection. I'm curious if you resonate or not with that.
Yeah, it's like the thing that happened to me because I was in the, I think it was in November 2014. I was out. I was a little bit depressed and low. I felt lonely. I had been separated for 3 years with my ex-wife and didn't really, yeah, and had my children half time and felt like, what, you know, is this is how it's supposed to be? And, it's not like um, feeling sorry for myself. It's just like some kind of end of no return feeling. And then I was Googling around and I could see there was a man in Sweden who had did a study in the hospital on cardiac arrests and people who had flatlined. And he made a study around 30 people. He would interview them after their their cardiac arrest, and he would see that 6 people out of these 30 came back with a near death experience. And he said that they had a, a new outlook on life, totally new outlook on life. It really was just changed. And they was also afraid to speak about it because was afraid that people will not understand it or even, I mean, make it less sacred because it's a sacred experience and you don't give something sacred to anybody. How? But he would go around interviewing and them, and he made this qualitative study which he published in the Lancet. And
Mm.
so after I found this, I was like, oh my god, I can speak about it. Somebody has done it in here in Sweden, and I just found his number there on his website, and I called him, and his ex-wife answered, and then he called me up later, and we had a talk, and we're still connecting now, and they're both supporting our work. So he's supporting NDEs in Sweden, and I'm supporting, and I got a lot of resources from him. It was through him I was connected to IONS later on because there was one.
What is that? IONS?
Yeah, it's the International Association for Near-Death Studies. So it started up like, I think it started in the beginning of the 80s. I was born in 1980, so it was not far. So it has continued for like almost 50 years, this process.
Yeah.
And it started with really a man called Raymond Moody, who wrote a book on near-death experiences to categorize it and give it a system and give it a name. So that triggered a lot, and that was in 1975. So that since then, the process has been going on, and there was a lot of doctors and scientists working on this. So it's not. So there's a lot of people who understand that consciousness is not something that's in the brain. Consciousness is beyond. And because
Yeah.
one of the most interesting things that shocked the doctors was that somebody would be clinically dead, like they would be flatlined for a few minutes. And when they revived them and they came back, they would have something called veridical experiences. And they have been went out and they could see everything what the doctors did. And they could go out in the waiting room and see somebody. And they could tell exactly what happened. And they were shocked. And they were shocked.
Mm.
So my experience is more difficult to verify, but they was very easy to verify because they came back with knowledge about what has happened. So this also triggered a lot of things. And Doctor Who was exposed to this was also like, what is this? What's going on? I'm really curious about it. And it doesn't really fit with their life view, like what they have been told. So it really like get them out of their safe seat and, just understand that things maybe it's not the way that I've been thought, you know, things are maybe different. And what I see also is this, I see that, like Marshall said, when he's talking about his uncle and his grandmother, like he's taking care of her, like he could look at his uncle really like with a smile on his face, taking care of this woman, even very intimate cleaning and stuff, and he still will have a smile on his face, you know? And at the same time, people can enjoy other people's pain, but he you can also see people enjoying giving to each other. And the more I see in life, the more I'm opening up to my own experience, speaking about it, speaking with other people, I get more comfortable and relaxed about it. It's nothing something I have to hide because
Mm.
when I have tried to share it in my life, even as a child, it becomes quiet or the subject changes. And then it's like, okay, there's no space to talk. And all this beauty of this experience gets trapped. And suddenly it's like killing me from the inside because I don't know what I can do with all of this alone. Because I don't know. Because, like Marshall said, there is the giraffe and the jackal. We become these cultural people who forget what we really need and how we're serving life just because we're just aiming to satisfy some needs like safety, security, influence, and a lot of those needs are just satisfying a material part of life. You it will never be enough. You can never get enough of that to satisfy the other needs. So when I see now people, what has helped me is like I can see more people and see that they're also the part of this light and how this light is moving when we're interacting. How that if I sit with myself and find the beauty in myself, the other person will also feel the beauty of themselves because I'm opening that space.
Mhm.
And it's also like that with drama when I'm doing drama. It's like, get back to that emotion. Let's play that emotion. And suddenly we're lost in the play because we're so connected to the emotion and the experience that becomes more alive. So
Mhm.
it's like this letting go all the time and being on the emotion of things and connecting back to yourself, settling into yourself. Where do I really want to be? What do I really want to see around myself? What do I want to see in other people without fear and expectations? And, you know. So it's guiding me. And I think also it helped me to try out a lot of things in my life. I tried a lot
Mhm.
of things at different jobs, different adventures, and different experiences. So I think it has helped me to stay positive also. Not like, yeah, I have nothing to lose in this life. I just here to serve and contribute and enjoy myself.
Yeah, I love what you shared there. There's a lot that you shared, and I love your kind of stream of consciousness. And one thing that kind of stands out to me is this kind of shift that happened since, I think you said, the 70s or the 80s, when the INs, so the International Association for Near-Death Studies, was kind of brought into life. And that was a big part in validating you and other people who've had these experiences that are often mocked or kind of shunned. And as you said, people just fall silent. And I think one part of that, you sent me some material and I checked it out. And what part of what kind of makes this NDE study possible is that our medical science has advanced so much that we can bring people that back from, being clinically dead or having flatline. And then all of a sudden, what used to be just, people going to the other side or whatever that is, I don't know. But now all of a sudden there's this, we have experiences of people who experienced, going through the death process. That's extremely powerful and interesting. And talking about medical science, you shared one of the videos you shared was a panel discussion about, how NDE experts or experiencers deal with skepticism or kind of disbelief. And one of the people on the panel was also a medical doctor, Dr. Eben Alexander. And I thought, I know that name. And also he was talking about that his worldview flipped from being kind of materialist to being, like consciousness based, let's say. And then I found out that he's actually prominently featured in this book. So this is The Flip by Jeffrey Kripal. And the cool thing is I just actually interviewed Jeffrey Kripal a few weeks ago, and he's all about the flip, meaning flipping that worldview from kind of, Western science, materialism based to, no, actually, consciousness seems to be fundamental. And by the way, as you probably know, a lot of, quantum physicists or a lot of scientists, is also one of the points of Jeffrey's book, is that a lot of scientists actually don't believe in materialism. There's a lot of scientists, even I think Heisenberg, for instance, these really front runners of the last century of quantum physics, they actually also had a consciousness first model or idea of the world. But that's a really cool kind of growth of the IANS, and isn't it true that you also helped or created the Swedish chapter of IANS?
Yeah, it was like, first of all, after I got help from, got connected with this doctor, Hans Sigmark, he connected me had a talk that was recorded with him and Bruce Grayson. And Bruce Grayson is like one part of the founder of the real IANS. And so he'd been there in 50 years. He's a doctor and a psychologist, as I understand it. He's at Eremitius now. So we're doing a lot of work. He's writing a lot of beautiful books. I have one here.
After.
And after it says, a doctor explores what near-death experience reveal about life and beyond. And it also speaks about why is it after you read this book, what will you do? I mean, that's one thing that is saying. And you also say, what happens after you have a near-death experience? How do you live with it? How do you integrate your life after this?
Yeah.
And what kind of support do you have? And what is afterlife? I mean, that's why he chose this name after, because we don't know what's coming after where we go. And also that to recognize who has the authority to say what's coming after. I think that is also the part of this. Speaking of it, it's not like nobody has an authority to tell us anything in life. And that's what I really also enjoy with Marshall, is that be your own authority. I mean, even Krishnamurti, which he talked about a lot in his is like our intelligence, our most deepest intelligence is to evaluate without judgment. I mean, that is unconditional love. We need judgment. Judgment is a fundamental way to navigate and organize us in life. We need to have judgment. Because
all right, I didn't know
judgment, you don't know how far it is for me to jump between here and there. How the judgment of what do I want to do with this day? What do I need to eat? How I'm going to cook it? It needs a judgment. So we need judgment. But when we put evaluation into it, because that is a social structure, we say, well, we go from, is it good or bad? Is it right or wrong? Is it appropriate or inappropriate? Then it doesn't even serve what judgment is. It's just keeping us loyal to the social and cultural system and structure. So it's not about.
So we also, so Krishnamurti also said something like we have to learn to evaluate without judgment. So more needs based, I guess.
Yeah, because judgment is, we need to have judgment, but not being judging,
Yeah.
The judgment is it's like taste. When you eat something and you feel the flavor and you can say, up or down, I like it, I don't, or it's in between. So I have a judgment. Do I like it? I don't. Do I enjoy it or do I don't enjoy it? So we will always have in a relationship with that experience. And that when we are learning different flavors in our mouth, like children in the beginning don't eat a lot of things. They really like, I like this, I don't like that. So when we grow up, the amount of variety of things we have tasted make also more knowing what do we really enjoy. It comes from an inside judgment. I enjoy this. And also it can hinder us from enjoy other things because we haven't enjoyed the way they have enjoyed it. We can't put ourselves, and all the other thing is like the way we think about things. Like when I have learned things to do in a specific way, like I like this thing about looking as children in a game. They do two things. There is some children who can play with everybody. They see that the game in itself and the play is supporting the social connection. While some children, when it doesn't work in play, they get angry and go play with themselves. So they play a lot with themselves. What happens? They don't know how to interact with other people. So they can become isolated. So they then also becomes a judgment, like they're bad, they did that to me, I don't like them, I'm angry at them because they didn't see what I wanted to do, I didn't get to do what I wanted to do, and then we get into judgment.
So can I see if I get you there? Because it's a little bit complex, but I just want to check if I get it, if that's okay for you.
Yes.
So what I'm getting is that what you are seeing and learning, or what you have learned, is that, and you're, of course, taking your inspiration from Krishnamurti, that there's this kind of mental judging that we do, kind of right and wrong, and I'm kind of, putting myself above you to judge you. That's one way of judging. And of that, I think he said something like, it's very intelligent to observe without judging. But then there's another kind of more embodied, more spontaneous, not mental kind of evaluation, which is simply our body's reaction to our surroundings and kind of letting that be our guide. Is that what you're kind of getting at?
Yeah, because it's all about equilibrium. It's all about balance. We want to function in the world. It's like he also said, Krishnamurti said, the experiencer is the experience and experience is the experiencer. We can't separate. The observer is the observer. So when we observe, we also observe ourselves at the same time. As we experience ourselves experiencing at the same time. So we can't get away from this. And so that's a little bit what I don't know where do we started in this discussion. I feel like we like came into something. I don't want to lose the thread of what we were talking about.
Yeah. No, I find this very interesting, this kind of, because it reminds me of my conversation with Joram I had a while ago. And he also said, basically, I let my body guide me. And that sounds a lot like what you say about evaluation is not a dirty word, right? It's just, no, we do evaluate. And there's just a different thing that we do when we really mentally judge. And then there's this subconscious idea that we really can know what is right and wrong. So I find that super interesting. And I like that you also kind of corrected me, like, no, he did say that. So thank you for that, because that makes me learn something. And another thing that you shared when you also showed that book after, it touches on something I was also curious about when I wanted to talk to you. And you somehow hinted at it already. What comes after life, right? And for me, it's a question. And I'm curious if it's still a question for you after having had a near-death experience. And can you share anything about that? Do you now believe there's a life after death? Or could it be that those experiences are actually the last experience somebody has before all experience ends? And of course, you just said nobody can know, but what is your intuition or best guess about it?
A lot of people who are near death experiences, they like, first of all, I was a child. This is the first thing. When you're a child, before 5 years old, you don't have any identity, which also, with no identity, no memories of who you were. Like, if you have it when you're a teenager or you're in the middle age or when you're old, you have something to compare with. As a 4-year-old, I have nothing to compare about before. So when I came back, somehow I felt that something everybody has had, It's because if I had it, you also had it. Like a child would do like this. You can't see me now. You can't see me. And he believes that nobody can see him because he's closing his eyes. So from that point of view, this is where I came from. And I had this experience without having anything else. I just went into a blue space and then to the light space. And I was the light. That is what affected me. So what I don't know if I would continue, what would happen. I have to really say I don't know, because otherwise I would create stories in people's minds. I just know what I experienced, and what I experienced, I can't find anything as beautiful and giving and serving and all the things, all the needs satisfied without satisfying them, having them right there and not, I can't find it here. But what I do find here and I don't find there is that there is no taste on that side. Okay, there is no smell. Like there is no touching in the way that we are here. There is a lot of things and there is no darkness. There isn't. So when I would like to compare some things that I have understood because of comparing this place to that place, I would say there, you know everything and there is nothing to know. It's like, but here you forget that you're coming from that place, because when you're small, your memory is getting lost, because when you start communicating, you lose what you wanted to say in the beginning. So then you just get embarked on this journey and you're just like, yeah, I'm in life. Okay, I forgot where I came from, but now I'm doing life, because that is, and time for a child is much longer than for a grown-up, like when we were young, we would know time would be endless for waiting for something. Time is very, very long. So when we are born until we are around 12 years old, we learn a lot of things at a very high rate. There's a lot of experiences. And when we get older, we have less experiences and life becomes more like, very low experience. Even we grow. Yeah. If we would grow as a baby would do, we will be giants. If we would continue grow as a child, we would be very big. So the intensity of the young age, when we forget where we're coming from and we're coming in here, is, I think it's important to understand that when we started talking about where do we come from. Well, when we had words to talk about, we could not say anything.
Yeah.
But when you have a near-death experience, you come back with something so beautiful that you can't talk about because it would sound ridiculous and crazy to other people, and it would seem like you're trying to put things in people's heads, and you also, at the same time, you would be afraid to destroy your own experience, would make it unholy among other people. And you also don't want to lose your face. You don't want to be hurt by what other people will say to you.
Yeah.
Because it's something so, I know that this has happened. For me, it's a knowing. It's not a thinking. It's a knowing. I know what happened because I was there. I experienced it. Just as much if a woman would be raped, sorry to take that topic, but if you would say, no, it didn't happen, you would put so much guilt and shame, and this woman would go out in life and hide this so deeply and painfully that it will affect her so much in her mental stage that it will come physically in her body. She will get sick. It's the same with this. We trap it inside, and but now when you can express it, now can I see it, and I've listened to other experiencers from different part of life who had an experience. I see there is that everybody has also their own personal experience, what they needed to know. So I think the difficulty with telling is that this is the truth is also it's every person's own truth. So for me, it's not about so important if it's true or not. It's about what does it, how does it live within me? It lives in, for me, also, I would say the near-death experience in that place is total well-being. And what do we want more than life and anything? Well-being. So I would say doesn't matter what anybody experiences as long as we are creating well-being together. I think that is what I feel is most serving life, to focus more on if it's real or not. It's more important how do we create the life we want to live in well-being here on Earth. I mean, and not to prophesize it about it. It is what it is. We are exactly where we need to be in this life. It's like, and the little part that everybody's playing is important in itself. So I don't know what's going to happen afterwards because I didn't continue. I was drawn back. And a lot of people who get drawn back have a choice. Do you want to go or don't want to go back? And a lot of people who come back are the ones that went back. So we don't know what's going to happen later. But if it's that beautiful and lovely, I feel like I'm ready to go any day, anytime. But I don't want to leave my children. I want to see them grow up, be a part of their life. And so when you're human, you need to have being that experience of being human. And we don't know what it's all about because nobody can really tell us what his life is all about. It's for each one to make their own decision and find their own path, because that's what also you get with you after being in such a light place, so full of light, of clarity. You come in here, and like I said, you forget where you come from when you're a child. You also forget that you're living in darkness. You're in dark. You're alone. You're not together. You don't feel togetherness. So this loneliest place of life also, it's like walking blind in life. We're all walking blind. We're all walking blindly in life and trying to coordinate and navigate us as beautiful as possible. And I think NVC is a very good navigation system towards well-being. Yeah, something like that.
I'm really with you in basically all that you said. What I really like is that you had a super profound experience, and you don't necessarily have this need to make a conclusion about it. You still remaining open to the question. Yeah, I don't know what happens after life, but it sure seems like it's something beautiful that's unfolding there because I went there. I had one experience myself. I don't know, 15 years ago or something, maybe 20 years ago, where I was in broad daylight. I mean, I hadn't taken any drugs or alcohol, whatever. It was just a normal day. I was folding the laundry and I just felt a presence. I cannot explain, but I felt a presence. And at some point, I was all alone in the house and I just asked, okay, if you're there, can you make a noise? I immediately heard that sound. And I'm using some audio software, so probably it'll be edited out, but I just made a sound of kind of glass and stone hitting. It was just unmistakably an answer to my question. So I immediately went there where it came from, and it was in the corner of the room. And I was living in the house of my mother at the time. She was living with her new husband somewhere else, so I was alone there. And the sound came from all this blue glass that she had collected. So I thought, oh, well, maybe there is a bug that just happened to fly against the glass at that very moment. I had a look. No, nothing like that is there. I would have seen if there was a bug. So it really is it's kind of a very mundane but paranormal experience, I would say. And also I was very clear in myself in that moment, just like you, that, there's no need to make a conclusion. This just happened. It seems to be some kind of communication, but I don't know. And I had several of those kind of unmistakable experiences that don't fit within the normal paradigm of materialism, and yet they clearly happened. Which again is also, that's continues to be Jeffrey Kripal's insistence. Yeah, those things simply happen, and it's fun to talk about what does it mean, and what's the conclusion? Is there life after death? But the truth is, we don't know, and it certainly seems to happen. And you also kind of answered another question, that I had, which is, are you afraid of dying? And it seems that clearly you're not. You just said that, I believe. Myself, I do have a fear of death and dying. It's not nearly as intense as it used to be. I had this period of I don't know how long it was, maybe months, maybe a year, but every single night I would have this super intense fear of dying. Did you? Yeah, I guess you were so young that you probably didn't have any fear of dying, but you certainly don't seem to have one now. Is that correct? The fear of death is not there for you?
Yeah, but I had a lot of different fears. I was afraid of heights. I didn't like heights as a child. Would not jump in the water from a height. I really worked hard to overcome my fear of height. I was afraid of women a lot because I afraid that I didn't understand or I would hurt them, or because I really wanted us to be in line with each other. And I see that communication is very difficult. And so I also was afraid of how can I connect with a woman, and a lot of things like that. And it was also so I have a lot of fear, and I also have a fear because I know that I'm coming to this light. I also feel, is there some kind of demand on me that I have to do something just because I have the experience? It's also a little bit like a burden in a way, because I feel like, I got the experiences and I'm not here to teach one or tell anybody. For me, it's just to acknowledge this experience, and it comes with a kind of a burden also. It's not just like a knowing. It's like also comes with some after effects of like you don't have to, but I don't know the word, but it comes with some kind of a calling or some kind of,
Yeah.
I have to pursue some things. I can't run away from them because they run, they catch up, So it's like, sometimes I can be totally devoted in life and say, no, I'm not going to have a lot with that to do right now, because like when I was a father, I needed to work, I needed to do things, I needed to be there. And I had to push things aside just to do those normal things. But after start sharing it, I feel like, no, I don't have to push up. I can integrate it into my life. I can use it as a way to connect to myself. And I can also be forgiving to myself that, this is part of being human. You can't be something more than being human. When you're human, and that is the full thing you need to do. And also enjoy it. Doesn't make it like some kind of work you have to do all the time. I think work is a good word in a way. If you put play and work next to each other, it's very interesting, because if you have something, play with it, work with it. It doesn't.
Mm.
There's no demand. You see, work with it, and everything that we're playing with that's worth playing becomes work. So play and work is like friends. If you don't put work into duties, you
Yeah.
know. So that's Marshall also said, like when we're doing it out of an obligation or a guilt or a duty, it becomes directly violent because we're not serving again. We're not coming from this divine beloved energy that we're all coming from.
Yeah.
And I hope somebody who's out there who I'm misquoting Marshall in any way, I'm sorry. And I really have deep reverence and dignity for his work. And I never met Marshall. And it's just that what he's saying really resonates with me. So
Yeah.
I also want to say that, and I'm also grateful for the workshop that I went as IIT. There was a lot of great trainers there. There was Shauna Cameron, and there was Silva Haskwitz, and there was Anniken from Norway, and we had a Swedish Joakim Bergström, and we have also Kristlin, from Sri Lanka. Oh, that was so fantastic. Facilitating that thing was so beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
and relaxed and fun, at the same time. So I am. They have more knowledge of his work in that way. So I'm just saying how it lands in me. And
Yeah.
I'm not certified. I'm not a trainer. I'm just inspired and connected to the work in a way that serves my life and helps me, supports me on my journey to, do what we can during the time we have.
Well, that's one of the things that I've been enjoying a lot in this conversation is not just how you link your own near-death experience with NVC, but also the sacred element of it. Because for me, sometimes what I say is that, nonviolent communication on the surface is a range of conversational techniques and things to be aware of, but actually at depth, it's a whole worldview. And I love how you point to the sacred nature of Marshall's work, of NVC, and how clearly it has been a really deep through line in your life of, this kind of having touched the sacred so deeply, having been one with it and looking for it and kind of, creating it as far as I can tell. I want to make a comment that I'm aware that my daughter woke up and I think she's needing me, talking about needs. So I'd love to, start, caring for that. I also feel that we have covered a lot already. And I'm curious if, as a kind of a roundup, is there any last thing that you would like to say to people listening, or something that maybe you've been wanting to say, but that's kind of still in the air, or anything that would make you feel complete?
Well, from a near-death experiencer, as a facilitator, facilitating sharing groups as a near-death experiencer, and I see these rooms, how important they are. So I come back to it all the time. Is that go visit. There is opportunity to come to these sharing groups if you're interested. And if anybody tells you about any kind of experience, doesn't have to be a near-death experience, just validate it, just listen. And what they experience is real to them. I mean, what do we know? We don't know. Who are we to judge or tell? I mean, we don't know anything except what we experience right now. I mean, memory can also be deceitful when we look back at our life memories. But if it really affected us, I mean, when we fell in love, didn't we really know how that felt? How that affected us. So I think that any experience that moves you and changes you, inspires you, affects you strongly and deeply, I think if you share it with somebody and they listen without sympathizing or trying to put any words to it, just be there. I think it's most important. And don't take anything for granted. Like, I mean, like, I know, like, we know, like Socrates said, I know what I don't know, and that I know. I think it's a great philosophy to go by, to not, to be very clear. Do I know this or do I don't know this? And I go and explore ION's webpage, like ions.org. And I hope people put it there for people to look in. And,
Definitely.
yeah, I'm here. I'm starting the conversation and I'm open to space with the little I have to contribute with. So I'm grateful for this to talk with you, Hans. And I'm really enjoying you as a person also. The times we have, little time we already have shared, but it feels very authentic and connecting. I love the way what you're doing with the manuscript. Yeah, very grateful for that.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm also really grateful, and I really enjoyed our conversation. And for sure, the links will be below. And yeah, I encourage people to definitely reach out to you, work with you. And I love your kind of quoting Socrates and inviting us to be aware of our ignorance and to listen as kind of the attitude to have. I couldn't agree more. So thanks a lot, Cliff.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Ciao.